יתגדל, יתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם לעלמי עלמיה. יתברך, ישתבח, יתפאר, יתרומם, יתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתחלל, שמי קודשה בריך הוא. לעילה מן כל ברכתה, שירתה, תושבחתה, ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, אמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
That she was allowed to wear the boys' kind of running shoes, play on the boys' team in baseball. And she was called Flash. Yeah, and it was basketball. It was basketball, I guess, that she got the name of Flash. She was going to be a biochemist. I'd forgotten that. Do you remember when Elaine was on the debating team? That was in the opportunity class, I think we were. Yeah. Every year we would celebrate our birthdays together. We're all the same age. Elaine's birthday was first, it was in September, and Barbara's mom's was in December, so the next month, and mine is in January. So we were all turning the same age. Remember that? Remember that we celebrated our birthdays? Right. We celebrated, Elaine and you and I celebrated our birthdays together every year. I just have a vision of us. We took ourselves to the Ruby Foods. I don't know whether it was before dinner or instead of dinner. But we felt very, I don't remember how old we were at that time, but I think we were maybe late teens. And we had a cocktail, which made us feel very grown up. And it was definitely one of the birthdays. So that was a nice image because their cottage was not far from ours. And sometimes I know that I would go up north with her father and Elaine. We would go, and sometimes I stayed with them, but I don't remember that or it could be that Elaine's father just drove me to my place. I don't quite remember that, but I know that Elaine was always pointing out what we call the skeleton rock on the way to. It was very close to where the cottages were. Ours was and theirs, and so it was skeleton rock, which was just a big rock with a painted skull on it. But we always pointed out that was a landmark because that meant that we were about 5 or 10 minutes from the country place. And Elaine, as I remember, she loved the country. She loved going to the country. She loved the idea that her parents had a cottage that they went to in the summer. Well, I do remember that she loved the idea of being in Harvard. So I think that she thought about. I mean, she was quite clear that that's where she wanted to go. And for years later, even after she graduated, she would often I know that she gave my Michael, my eldest, at his bar mitzvah, she gave him as a gift a Harvard bag. And she would often give Harvard bags too as gifts. Because I guess it was, it was a very, very, very nice memory. Her life goal was to go to Harvard. And it came to pass. She traveled a lot, and she traveled by herself, and she traveled all over, everywhere. But she liked India, so she did a lot of travel there. But the story with her meeting VJ I mean, I was not present, obviously, but I heard it secondhand, that she was in a hotel or something, staying somewhere, and she was going to go touring, and she wanted some information as to, either how to get to where she wanted to, what particularly she wanted to see, or just get some ideas from not the doorman, but somebody who was at reception of wherever she was staying. And he said, "Oh, why don't you ask that young man? He's just going down the stairs. He could help you. He could guide you."
They were staying in the same hotel.
Yes, as it turned out.
In India.
She didn't know him, and they didn't know each other. But so she asked him the question of where she could go, or where a particular thing. I don't remember whether. I'm sure that there was something specific that she wanted to see, and it turned out so that he started to explain to her, and then he said, "Well, maybe I'll come with you," and they spent the rest of the day together, and the rest is history. But Elaine stayed at my place. Actually, she stayed periodically. She'd stay for some time. I think I had gotten another. I was newly married, and I think we got a bedroom set, and I had bed from wherever I was living before. So that all went in the basement, a full bedroom set. And then she stayed there, and then VJ, when he first came to Montreal, he also stayed with me in my basement. And so that worked out very well. Well, I think she had research ties with colleagues in China. She had many Chinese students, mainly the international ones, I think to a great extent were Chinese, and they often were living in her basement. She seemed to have whole colonies of Chinese students living in her basement. For years she did that. So that was an interesting aspect of her life as well. She founded the science college.